It was the start of 2024. Lethal Company was on the rise, and I was having a blast playing it with my friends.
एक एलियन डिवाइस का असर हो गया अच्छा इतना ही क्या है कहाँ पे चल
शिप का रास्ता दिखाओ
चिप का रास्ता दिखा क्या ओह ओके
Then, one day, while I was playing it, an idea struck me that it would be fun if I could make something like this. So, I got to researching. I was fairly new to Unity with a few mini games that I had made. Then, I found CodeMonkey's multiplayer game guide. So, I started watching it and watched more and more, and then I thought that someone even as stupid as me could make a co-op game. So, I immediately started work on it. And the first feature that I made was making the bean move. Then instead of making the game's functionalities, I started adding multiplayer to the movement. I faced some challenges while adding different cameras for every player, but other than that, things were looking good and I got the feeling that yes, I can definitely make a co-op game. So I continued adding more features like picking up objects and why didn't it pick it up? Anyways, after some debugging, I got it to work. So next, I thought that it would be a good time to add a character to this and say goodbye to the bean. Then I took a break for some time and that some time turned into a few weeks. Uh, Anyways, I started working on this again and this time I was ready and locked in. I set goals for this game and I picked the task that I thought was the most interesting: procedural dungeon generation. I started researching on procedural generation and watched a lot of videos on it. Then I realized that I was dumb and I just couldn't understand the working of these algorithms like A star and wave function collapse. Like, what are those? Then, after researching more and more, I thought that dungeons are basically just a bunch of rooms that are just thrown together randomly. So, why not just make a list of random rooms and then just place them all together? I also found this thread on Unity forums that said pretty much the same thing. So I started working on making some rooms and putting them together, and after a lot of trial and error, I finally got it to work. And if you want to learn how I made it, I have a video on my channel where I explain how this procedural generation works. Then after I got it to work, I made some assets in Blender and brought them into Unity, and just like that, my dungeon was being generated with assets. But this was all being done offline and my game was in multiplayer. So then I started making this process work in multiplayer, which introduced me to so many bugs. But one by one, they all got fixed eventually. And things were looking pretty good. I had learned so much how netcode works and co-op works in general in these past few months, and now I had an idea of how I should place everything together. Things were really starting to come together. I set up the trigger that takes the player to the dungeon, and finally now I could walk around it. And that felt so good to finally see all of my work come together, and it was also working in multiplayer. Then I just ran around and just enjoying the different types of dungeons that were generated by the algorithm. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to show for the game at the moment. Currently, I am refining the multiplayer by adding lobbies and relay services by Unity so multiple people can play together. And if you want to participate in the closed alpha of the game, which will be hopefully in a few days, hopefully, that's a big if right there. Make sure to enter the Discord linked in the description. I post updates on my game and other stuff there. If you enjoy this video, then leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates. And if you would like to support my game, you can check out my Patreon, which is also in the description. And I will see you in another video. Goodbye.